Hello and welcome again to week 2. Again, I want to take some time just to go over the practice assignment. We will be building on the topic and standards that you identified for your learners last week, looking at what are those big ideas and instructional needs and how do we take those unit goals, whether they're content standards or they're professional goals provided or 21st century skills, habits of mind, etc. How do we take those and break them down into the key concepts, knowledge, skills that we want our learners to walk away with? And how do we think about where our learners are in terms of the skills, the knowledge, the big ideas, and the actual thinking process? So if you turn to page 37 in your textbook, you'll see an example that looks very much like this template here. You'll notice that in the example, they take a 9th grade English language arts standard as the focus of this unit. And I'm not asking you to do this separately for each standard individually, although that might be helpful depending on how many and what type of standards you choose. So I'm going to leave that to your professional discretion, whether you want to list 1 to 3 of your professional standards. If sometimes content standards or professional goals naturally merge and complement each other, and other times you'll see that there's a real outlier. For one of those outliers, you might consider breaking it down in this outline as well. But for the focus of this class, I'm only going to require that you really practice doing this once. Again, practice is a skill, and it's one that requires exactly that practice. So first thing you're going to do is identify, take one of those content standards or goals that you had, and you'll list it right here, just like they did in the example. Then you're going to consider that standard or a goal in terms of the conceptual ideas. What do you want students really to understand about this? These are stated in I can or students will be able to statements. And again, we'll be building on this as we continue in the week. So to start with, looking at the example they gave you, are there any big concepts to understand within this standard that you've identified? How do we break those down in terms of the language students will be able to or I can statements? And then what do we need to know about where our learners are? So where is their readiness and what experiences do they need? So again, really encourage you to look at the example on page 37 as you consider your own standard or goals and complete this task analysis. You'll see the similar thing as they look at factual knowledge. What's the knowledge that they need to have? How do we look at that in terms of key attributes that students, we want to break that down for. So again, the I can statements or the students will be able to, or learners will be able to statements. And again, thinking about the learner's readiness. You'll continue to do that for the procedural knowledge as well as the metacognitive. Again, I encourage you to look at the examples provided for you in your textbook in doing so. And then as you go into the second part, really looking at, this is where understanding by design and the ADDIE merge together. You'll see elements that you've developed specifically in the part 1 in the task analysis as you develop what is it that you really want your students walking away understanding. These are the big ideas, the transferable. So if you haven't done the reading first on understanding by design, please do so. I also provided additional resources and examples for folks, and I'll identify those in a minute if this is new for you. The same thing with the essential questions. So what 2 to 3 essential questions? These are windows, those kind of critical questions that do not have a set answer, but really help folks generate curiosity and dig deep into the big ideas of your unit. To do that, I would recommend, if you want more examples, is going to the examples that I gave you under additional resources. So there's one that's called a guide, and you'll see under the guide, actually, if you go to the table of contents, you'll see examples, everything from examples of different types of goals. So if that's, if you're still kind of trying to figure out what that looks like, but specifically, how do you develop essential questions? So under module F, we'll give you examples of how do you develop essential questions and enduring understandings. An example of what that looks like you can find under the other resource that was provided for you for additional support. If you go to page 24, you'll see an example for nutrition with the established goals, so the content standard goals, and then those broken down into understanding, enduring understandings, and essential questions. Below that, you'll also see a task analysis, a very simplistic one that doesn't go into the degree of sophistication that the ADDIE process has us do, but essentially it's the same. We have the procedural knowledge, we have the factual knowledge, and as we consider both the essential questions and the enduring understandings, we really begin to think about the more big ideas, the conceptual and metacognitive. So these are examples that should be able to help you in the Practice 2 assignment. Again, please refer to the elements and criteria and to the practice rubric. And if you have any questions, please let me know. This week, we will also be conducting our first collaboration on practice. So you'll be asked to post a draft. And when I say draft, this is a work in progress. The further along you are, the more feedback you will receive. So whatever you have completed, please post that by 11 o'clock on Thursday. And you will be asked then to conduct a peer review of at least one of your colleagues' designs. This is really going to be helpful for you to see other examples, especially for folks that are working with a similar audience. So I encourage, if you're early childhood focused, to work with others in early childhood. If you're a K-5 or a single subject, again, to find folks that are similar in your area, or adult learners, etc. So it's a chance to really connect. You do not need to have the same peer partner every assignment for collaboration, and you may do more than one. So it's a chance really to provide examples for yourself, to show your own understanding by providing feedback, and to have a chance. Honestly, this is practice in practice, really. And that is, we know that when we collaborate with our colleagues in education, our students benefit and we benefit. And the research shows that both are true. So I'm going to encourage us to do that here, both as a professional norm, also as a program goal, and for your own support, both in the development, by providing support and getting support. You'll see this is the rubric for the collaboration. Again, you'll do your initial post Thursday by 11 o'clock p.m. and then you'll be asked to provide feedback by Sunday at 11 p.m. This will demonstrate our program outcome number 5, which is 5, which demonstrates leadership, ethical decision-making, and purposeful engagement in the profession. The type of feedback that we're looking for provides excellent review, completed with very constructive feedback about what worked well, what could be improved, and really shows a strong understanding of the design process that we're focusing on that week. So, have a great rest of the week. Again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact either one of us, and I will look forward to seeing the process.